As a little boy sat in church, his eyes were drawn to a large flag mounted on the wall with a number of gold stars attached to it. He whispered to his father, "Daddy, why does that flag have all those stars on it?" His dad whispered back, "To remind us of those who died in service." The boy thought about that for a moment and then whispered again, "Did they die in the morning service or in the evening service?" Now, there's nothing in the world like a spirit-led worship service. Through the years, I have been in numerous spirit worship gatherings, and they have gloriously changed my life. Paul states this, "Do not get drunk on wine, which leads to debauchery. Instead, be filled with the Spirit." Ephesians 5:19 now. "Speak to one another with psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit." One can sense God's presence in a spirit-led worship experience. God shows up. People are touched by God, and often members of the congregation begin to react to the Spirit's moving in very emotional ways. But actually, there is something else going on that we often miss. As believers worship God, they instruct, edify, and encourage one another. How? They speak to one another with psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit. Now, did you get that? They speak to one another with psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit. Anointed worship has a horizontal dimension. Colossians 3:16 says, "Let the message of Christ dwell among you richly as you teach and admonish one another with all wisdom through psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit, singing to God with gratitude in your hearts." Notice the community aspects found in Spirit-filled and Spirit-led worship. As Spirit-filled worship leaders minister in spiritual songs, those present are instructed, built up, and spurred on to live all out for God. Through corporate worship, powerful things happen as we fellowship together. Spirit-filled worship builds people up. I want to be on that spirit level. How about you? I want to sing psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit. Oh my heavens, may God give us horizontal worship experiences. I've been in worship services where the worship was shallow. I've seen worship leaders who were more in tune with their performance than they were with what God was trying to say to the people through their worship. I have seen worship services be all about smoke, lights, and mirrors. But oh God, give us horizontal worship experiences. God, give me worship that will change my theology as I behold the King. God, give us worship encounters that will collectively change us. God, give us worship gatherings that brings a fresh revelation of who God is. Well, let me say it again. Spirit-filled worship builds people up, teaching and admonishing one another as we sing to each other psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit. How are you being admonished? A police officer stops a minivan full of elderly ladies being driven by an old man because they're only going 25 miles an hour. The policeman admonishes the driver for driving so slow. He asks, "Why are you going so slow?" He said, "Well, the speed limit is 25. There's a sign that says 25. The policeman sighs, "No, sir, that's the number of the highway you're on. It has nothing to do with the speed limit." The policeman admonishes the elderly man to read and follow the proper sign. "Oh, so that's what that sign meant." The officer looks at the rest of the van and notices the grannies are looking, well, terrified. "What's up, ladies?" he asks. The driver scratches his head. He says, "You see, we just got off of Highway 150. How are you being admonished? Better yet, how are you being admonished in the Lord? God, give us the right signs as we sing and worship. God, give us spirit-filled worship that builds people up as we sing to each other psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit. God, give us horizontal worship experience.